we have a slight change in our program. All our equity panelists felt that we cannot be actually questioning the disinvestment secretary. So we are, having the keynote address first, because all the panelists would also like to sit in the audience and listen to him. I invite on dais Mr. Ravi Mathur, Secretary Disinvestment Government of India, and Mr. Ashish Chavan. Please come on the dais. All of you are familiar with the huge success that disinvestment has met in the current year. Suddenly in the morning there is an announcement that disinvestment is going to happen, and by evening it actually successfully it is concluded. I think 2-3 factors have really helped in such a successful disinvestment. I think one is the OFS route, the change in the system of selling. Earlier it was, strategic sales which were being made by the government by inviting bids, etc. Today, in a open market operation, these are the strength of the markets. In the open market operation, the entire sale happens and in a very transparent manner and in a very quick manner. If all of you who remember the ONGC sale, I mean, it was a real nightmare, 10,000 crore issue which happened. And the amount of, response and the checks which came, and so many bounce checks and allotment, not allotted, and all kinds of complaints. I think all these things have really been wiped out just by having put the OFS procedure in place. And other important thing has been the SEBI's direction to have 25% disinvestment, or rather 25% floating stock must be made available in the markets. I think government actually following in letter and spirit that program has been of immense help. I am personally a firm believer that if good quality of paper comes into the market, it can really broaden and deepen the markets. And I think though the sales have been, initial sales were at a discount, sir, I would urge you that if we want to make our number of demat holders from 2 crore to 5 crore, the easiest way would be to leave lot of money on the table for retail investor when the disinvestment happens. And my logic is very simple. It is the asset of the people which is going back to the people. So I think if such a policy is kept in mind, the government would not only be successful in managing the one word which we all are hearing since morning is the CAD. I think, but it would really also help in deepening the markets. Before we hear Mr. Mathur, I would request Ashish to very briefly tell us how the experience has been of the OFS that has taken place, because I think 90% of the OFS have happened on the BSE platform. So we would like Ashish to share his experience.
Good afternoon. I am back here again. As I have been told to speak on OFS, I'll just give you a background of what is disinvestment and what used to happen, and then how all this process evolved, and how it is evolving, at least in my mind. Basically, disinvestment used to happen in different ways. As Dinaben said, it used to happen by way of selling it to UTI earlier, or to public sector mutual funds and investment companies, and then slowly it used to be trickled down. Then it started having strategic sale, and then also there were comments on strategic sale, so then it started becoming non-strategic sale, and so on and so forth. And then last year, in fact early last year in 2012, we started working on what should be the methodology for creating a very transparent and fair market for disinvestment. And that's where the process was discussed at various levels in the Ministry of Finance, at SEBI, and so on and so forth. And a concept of OFS was evolved, which was basically offer for sale. That is, companies that are already existing and listed. How do we create a framework which is fair and transparent and quick? Because earlier, if government had to disinvest, it would take them 3 to 4 months of process and huge amount of money to even gather some small amounts. And so we said, if India is able to have what we call 21st century secondary market, how is it that it's still running in 19th century primary market? In IPO market, we still insist on running only on 19th century market. I don't know why. But we were lucky that at least in disinvestment process, government agreed that we need to move forward and use the secondary market infrastructure, which is basically taking care of practically almost 3 to 4 lakh crore rupees a day on many days of trading, and is able to clear and settle, risk manage on T+2 basis. How is it that we can't do 10,000 crore or 20,000 crore of disinvestment through that secondary market mechanism? And that's where this entire framework got evolved. First issue, if you remember, was ONGC, and I think it was offered at around 296. It got totally complete and filled at a particular point in time, but a lot of controversy was manufactured. We have a huge number of people wanting to talk about something. If news does not happen, then we have to manufacture news. So we start nowadays, I was told tweeters are sent and SMSs are sent to sort of make people hospitalize, do something else and so on and so forth. Sort of a controversy was manufactured, and almost as if the disinvestment process would kind of will figure out a new way to do disinvestment. Fortunately, the good sense prevailed. The first issue itself, not a single other small issue was done. The first trial was done on a giant. First issue of OFS was almost 12,500 crores. The beauty vis-a-vis the earlier process is that earlier process would have taken 3 months, and on 12,500 crore, government would have spent at least 500 crores to collect. In this case, government got money in 2 days' time, T+1 actually, 1 day time, and the money spent would have been a fraction of a crore. And that is where people realize that on March 15th, you decide, because year end was coming closer, and March 15th you decide, March 16th you go in, March 17th you have money in hand, and suddenly you figure, oh, this is something powerful. But you realize little later, because controversy clouded everyone's minds. April onwards, it started working out. The controversy created was so great that finally a private sector party, Wipro, had to take a bait and say, okay, I will try to do this because according to me this is low cost. If I am not able to sell, I am not able to sell, but at least let me try. They tried it, and again people started talking about it, how it is not successful and so on and so forth. But issuers were very clear. The government was very clear that this is more transparent, more fair, more efficient from cost, from time and all perspectives. We need to go with the OFS mechanism. Now in last 1 year, practically 1 year and 15 days, we have done around 37 OFS. We have collected 41,000 crore rupees. On top of that, we also use similar methods for the debt. All the corporate debts, all tax-free bonds, many things get actually collected using similar mechanism on BSE. BSE is a market leader in this. Out of 37, I think 31 OFS, all 37 also, I think 1 or 2 didn't happen on BSE, but out of 37 OFS done by BSE, 31 BSE was designated and 17 or 18 BSE was only exchange, including Reliance Power and Adani and so on and so forth. So effectively, you have basically you have used OFS mechanism to have a primary market to collect 41,000 crore in equities. On top of this, around 15 to 20,000 crore or probably 50,000 crore of debt. I'll have to go and count that. But effectively, when today morning it was mentioned that IPO market does not exist, this is the IPO market, boss. 41,000 you collected, 41,000 crores. Neither you are aware, nor media is wanting to become aware, nor anyone wants to become aware. That revolution has happened very, very quietly. When we say we have collected only 1,500 crore in IPO, if you collect 41,000 crore in OFS, where is it going? In earlier days, it would have been called IPO. OFS is basically an issue of shares. Why isn't it been considered as an IPO, and 41,000 crore is not a small amount, right? So somewhere on the line for me, I just wanted you to be aware that the OFS has proved beyond doubt that an IPO, because again, what is an OFS? It's allowing an investors to come and invest in a stock, whether it is a new stock or old stock, whether it is listed or unlisted. It is a mechanism for people to buy and sell shares. Within 2 days, the issuers get money in 2 days. Why do they need to wait for 3 and 6 months, spend 15% of the money collected? For what? Can we not use this? If, in fact, when I was debating in many of the committees, think that we need to have electronic IPOs. There used to be a concern saying we manage millions and millions of forms when IPOs happen, and we collect 13,000 crore rupees. In Coal India, we had collected 15,000 crore rupees. Can you guys in exchange do it? And I said, okay, we'll tell you, but I can tell you that I manage 1 lakh crore of transactions a day. But no, IPO is different. I don't know how is it different, and how an investor who is an IPO investor is never going to come to secondary market. There is also perception getting created that an IPO investor remains IPO'd for rest of his life and for rest of future lives also. And Abhimanyu wanting to go in Chakravyuh also wants to come out. It is just that he couldn't come out. There was only one Abhimanyu. Every other Abhimanyu in form of investor wants to come out. Every primary market investor is a secondary market investor. I mean, for me, it is not a difference at all. It's just that we are creating these artificial situations to to sort of ensure that primary markets don't become more efficient, more automated, and give money faster to the investors, give shares faster to the investors, and give money faster to the companies at the lowest cost possible. And for me, this OFS is basically a harbinger of things to come, that EIPO, whenever, without forms, without ASBA, without all those paraphernalia which make it 5 days and 10 days listing, literally we can have an IPO closer and next moment you can start trading. That is the technology available today in India. That is the technology available elsewhere in the world. People do it elsewhere in the world. We must learn that we are one of the most sophisticated secondary markets in the world. We have to become sophisticated primary markets in the world. With that, I'll close. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashish. OFS is really going to be a game changer. I would now like to introduce Mr. Mathur to all of you all. Mr. Ravi Mathur is currently the Secretary of Government of India, as he is in charge of the disinvestment department in the Ministry of Finance. He is a product of IIT Kanpur, having done BTech as well as MTech in chemical engineering. And he has been with various ministries prior to being part of the Finance Ministry, which includes technical education, higher education, Ministry of HRD. Between the various period of time, he is also served on boards of IITs and IIMs. And he has joined the administrative service, IAS, in 1979 from the Rajasthan cadre. And he has worked on in various capacities in state government of Rajasthan, including collector and district magistrate and director of industries and secretary to government in various departments. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you Mr. Mathur. I told him you can speak for 20 minutes. He said, no, I'm just going to speak for just about 10 minutes. And he would give his views on how the disinvestment ministry sees this entire task of disinvestment, because we are talking of investment outlook next year, and the major player in this whole scheme of things is going to be Government of India, with a long list of disinvestments that it wants to do. Sir.
Thank you, Ms. Mehta. Mr. Chauhan, and all those who are assembled here for this one-day seminar. Let me at the outset acknowledge my complete ignorance of the Indian equity market, Indian stock exchange mechanisms, etc. till the middle of January of this year, when I was suddenly lifted from a ministry, that is Ministry of Labor and Employment, where I dealt with trade unions who were in principle opposed to any divestment. So, so that's the beauty of working in the government. And suddenly, till middle of January, I was posted as secretary in the disinvestment department. The day I joined, I asked my joint secretary as to what is it all about. They all assured me that, sir, in next 4-5 days' time, you will know everything about the disinvestment process. Let me further acknowledge that I am still learning the process of disinvestment, still interacting with people as to how best we can go about. Till middle of the target that was set in the budget for 2012-13 was 30,000 crores, which was in the first go an ambitious target given our candidates for disinvestment. However, we are confident that we'll do what was set in the revised estimate, that is 24,000 crores, and we have more or less achieved the target. Bulk of this was after January, where we had a series of OFS transactions, and perhaps starting from NTPC, Oil India, NALCO, RCF, SAIL, we did about 18,000 crores or so. Therefore, you can safely find in me a typical retail investor in the country. How does he look at the equity market? What are his inherent strengths, weaknesses, and how does he perceive whether he can invest his hard-earned money in the equity markets in the country? That is a question when we talk of equity we should ask ourselves. Because if I were to quote you the figures, I think we have only 19 million Demat accounts. There are approximately 21 million Demat accounts, out of which 30% are inactive. And let me tell you that even I have a Demat account which has been inactive for the past 6 to 7 years. Therefore, how do we bring these retail investors back to the market? How do we ensure that the depth of Indian stock market to achieve a satisfactory level? Whereas FIIs are continuing to depose their faith and trust in the Indian growth story, and that is what we observed in some of our OFS transactions. There's lack of participation by domestic investors. Then products which are available in the market other than the equities are broadly gold ETFs, mutual funds, where an ordinary investor like me would go and like to invest. There also, the perception is that there's no forum where an ordinary investor in this country can be educated. Where to invest, how to invest, when to invest. Market still functions on the basis of sentiments rather than on fundamentals of the company. How do you make this shift? This is also another big challenge. Now, coming to the disinvestment program of the government, it is not possible for me to divulge the candidates for disinvestment. However, there are about 44 listed PSUs, and we also have a target of divesting at least 10% of all the listed PSUs by, I think, 13th August 2013. So that target has to be achieved. Moreover, in this budget, a target of rupees 40,000 crores have been set for disinvestment, and in addition to this, there is another 14,000 crore, a target which has been set for disinvestment of government equities where government is a minority shareholder. So a sum total of 54,000 crores is the target in this budget, this year's budget. And we on our part are trying our best how to achieve this target. Much has been talked about the OFS mechanism. Last couple of issues, disinvestment, have been primarily through OFS mechanism. We also find it very simple, very easy to operate, and I think the entire transaction goes through in 36 hours, that is from T-1 day, where you have to give us notice to the stock exchange. However, in the government, we have to go through a well-defined process and a well-defined procedure before we disinvest a PSU stock. Since these stocks are owned by the government, by the President of India, therefore any disinvestment in PSU stock has to necessarily be after cabinet approval. And once cabinet approval is there, we have to divulge to the public that this is the stock we are going to disinvest. After that, in a transparent process, we have to appoint the managers, bankers, the legal advisors. See, the entire process is out in the open. And in this process, how to build a element of surprise is also very challenging. Second challenge is how to fix a price that is fair to both the investors and the seller. How to realize a fair value of the share and yet ensure that the investor does not lose money is a challenge which we face in every disinvestment. The market capitalization of about 50 central CPSEs which are listed is about 18% of all the listed companies, numbering more than 5,000. Most of you will agree that the government companies provide sound investment opportunities because of their inherent strength and standing. Nevertheless, government issuance always do not evoke the response from certain categories of investor. So this is another challenge that we face in the government. Now, we'll be using this OFS mechanism in wherever we can, in either achieving the target of at least 10% of PSU stock being in the public, or offloading further equity from already listed PSU companies. I hope to, I had an interaction today with the Bombay Stock Exchange. That improvement I can only learn because my exposure is only 2.5 months, but by interacting with you, by being part of this panel, I can hope that I can understand better the process of OFS, and for the next year we can get better value of money for the government shares. I would take this opportunity to thank you all and The time limit set was 20 minutes, which I thought was on a higher side, but I would be happy to answer those questions, except those which impinge on the process of disinvestment. Other larger questions I will be happy to answer. Thank you.
I think we can permit maximum 2 questions. Please raise your hand. Anybody would like to ask? Yeah.
Often the question is about pricing, whether it is fair or not. And in this market, both the buyer and the seller think they are smart. Having said that, we saw sometimes when the total amount could not be raised from public, and some institutions were resorted to. Can we also then consider, therefore, underwriting 1 day prior to the day of OFS or 2 days prior, wherein the price is declared by the government and the underwriters like brokers bid and say, okay, I'm willing to underwrite, say, 1 crore rupees at 0.5%, and somebody says 10 lakhs at 2%, and then we allocate it to the lowest guy, then you are very sure of your price, and then the whole issue will be definitely sold, at least to the underwriters, if nobody else.
See, in the OFS mechanism, we have to give notice to the stock exchange 1 day prior T-1. That is, if the OFS were to come day after tomorrow, today after closing of the trade, we have to give a notice to the stock exchange. The price is declared for an OFS for day after tomorrow. By tomorrow after closing of the trade, the price is declared. Now, in the government, there's what is called an EGOM, that is empowered group of ministers, which decides about the OFS, which decides about the number of branches, and which also decides about the price. The EGOM is in turn advised by a high-powered committee, which is chaired by me. Now, it's at times very difficult to convene 2 EGOMs. That is one which say for at OFS day after, we have an EGOM today, where we decide about the notice to be given to the stock exchange. We decide on the number of tranches. And subsequently for pricing, to convene an EGOM again tomorrow after closing of the trade. It's difficult in the government at times. The ministers may not be in the capital. Some of the ministers may be traveling. So the availability of the ministers, this is also very important. Therefore, what we do is that the pricing decision as well as the decision to go for OFS are taken in one single EGOM. Therefore, for 48 hours, we have to maintain the secrecy of the price. In the meantime, SEBI regulations also permit the regular trade in that stock. Not only a day prior to the OFS, but even on the day of the OFS, regular trading is permitted on the stock. Therefore, what we have is 2 price discovery. One is the OFS floor price, that which is fixed by the EGOM, and other is a price discovery by the market. This at times is very challenging, because how to match that price, and even for that matter, since the price has to be given a day earlier after close of the trade, whereas EGOM has taken a decision on the price even a day prior to that. Therefore, there may be an occasion where the price in the market may go below the floor price set by the EGOM. So these are what I am saying is these are challenges which we face in the OFS mechanisms. However, as suggested by you, we can, these issues can always be discussed with SEBI, whether we can come out with some better mechanism. where both the element of surprise is there, and we can prevent this double price discovery on the day of the OFS.
Anybody else? I think today the IPL matches being starting, there is, and all are waiting to hear the equity market forecast. Sir, thank you very much. And on behalf of all of us, we wish you all the success that you get the 54,000 crore target achieved. Thank you very much.